I want to get into the very specifics of making concrete planters. The reason for that is I see so many videos where people are doing these crazy things. They're mixing the cement with their hands. They're adding water at the end or whatever it may be. They're doing all these strange things. So let's go through the process of how you can make incredibly good planters, very strong, freeze thaw resistant, very beautiful as well. So I'm going to start with the concept. So we're trying to turn liquid concrete into a solid, beautiful planter. So we're starting with something that is liquid and we want it to harden and turn into a beautiful shape, a beautiful finish. We want a beautiful planter at the end. So the process is we need something, most of the times we need something to cast into or a shape that holds the concrete in place, if it's the sand fill method. So we have choices, these shapes, these plastic containers that we're going to use to make the planters. The round shape is the strongest. A rectangle is the worst shape, or a square. A square is not as bad as a rectangle. And anytime you have an open space where the top is bigger than the bottom, it's more suitable as a mold or a shape. So you have to pick out your molds. You have to have a release plan, how you're going to get the concrete planter separated from the shell that you're using. Do you use a release agent? Do you pick a shape that is very comfortable to release, where you can actually pull it out because it's so open to itself? Then it comes to the next stage where we've got all the prep work done. We need to mix something to go into this shape. So the mix is very important. I'm just sticking with my standard mix here, 1 cement and 3 sand or a gravelly sand. And it's really important to understand that there is a mixing sequence, and most people get this completely wrong. You add the water first and add just enough water to get everything working. You can always add water later. It's harder to take water away when you've made a mistake. So the next element of this mixing sequence is, so many people are using a tablespoon or a whisker to mix the cement. That doesn't work. You need massive energy to get all these ingredients that I'm going to talk about. You need a massive energy to get this mix to disperse all these additives in the mix very perfectly. So get yourself a really powerful drill, a mixing drill. Don't use an electrical drill that's for, you know, putting screws in the wall. Get an actual mixing drill. They're $1.99, and there's many choices. Mostly these mixing drills are used for mixing drywall mud. That's the mixer you want, or a cement mixer if you're going to do a lot of work. So now I'm going to get into the ingredients. So the ingredients are, they can be super simple. Like I said here, 1 cement, 3 sand. If I stick to that, I have the option of adding additives. So this could be polypropylene fiber. It could be water reducing mixes. It could be a mix that adds bubbles into the cement, an aerator. I could go to Home Depot or Lowe's and I could buy specialty cements in bags. These are very strong, very well engineered. Some of them have fibers in them already. This is probably one of the easiest ways to make incredibly strong planters, by purchasing specialty cements that are engineered to be super strong, engineered to dry incredibly fast, whatever the specifications are of these pre-bagged mixes. Now, when it comes to weight, I prefer people that are starting out learning how to make cement planters, that they don't go after the weight right away. Basically leave that when you've got lots of experience, this is probably the toughest part of making concrete planters, this reducing the weight. If you add perlite, vermiculite, all kinds of other materials to make your cement lighter, it makes this mix very complicated. And you're basically possibly causing yourself failure. So leave this till you're more experienced with mixing these cement materials. So my solution for the reducing weight is to not worry about it right now, but cast in place. And what I mean by that is if your flower pot is going to go in that corner, do all your casting there. Do everything on site, in place. So you just basically have to flip it over and get the planter out, and you don't have to carry it or move it. I'm talking when you're dealing with bigger planters, that's the best way, the cast in place method. Now, when we're planning this all out, we're thinking of a desired finish. We want the planter to look good, and this looking good is in our mind as the person who's creating it. Do we want a rough finish? Do we want a smooth finish? Are we going to add layers later on? Are we going to add textures? Are we going to finish it with paints and concrete stains? So this desired finish has a lot to do with the prep work. So you have to understand that I'm prepping towards a desired finish. I want this planter to be industrial looking. I want it to be polished, or I want it to be a sand texture, whatever it may be. The prep work sometimes has to be included in this to reach this goal. Now, we go through the process of the prep work, the ingredients, the objective of the ingredients, and then we get into the mixing process. So we're mixing the cement and the sand and the gravels and the additives incredibly well. And we have this liquid material in front of us. Now we have to cast it or we have to lay it up. What layup means is that you have a thicker mix and you're basically with rubber gloves building up this structure. So when you're making the planter, you have to really understand that this casting and layup might require you to be working fast. It might require you to have to vibrate the shell. There's many requirements that happen when we're casting and laying up a planter. Your mix might be too runny. Your mix might be too thick. All those things are learned experiences. And don't be shy. Just experiment. You're only losing $20 or $15, but you're learning the process of casting. You're learning the process of layup. You're learning the sand fill method. You're doing all these things to get an end result that will save you money, not having to buy all these planters. Now, the release process is the most underestimated or most misunderstood process. When you get let's say you're doing the stupid, people do this all the time, they'll use a bigger pail and a smaller pail that are almost the same shape, and they can never get the smaller pail out of the middle. And that's the release process. You have to be able to get the planter out, the plastic shape out of the cement. And this can be the most frustrating part of making concrete planters. This idea that you can't get the inner shape or the outer shape out of the cement. And it makes it incredibly frustrating when you're spending 4 hours with chisels and hammers and sawzalls and God knows what to get these shells out. So if you pick a favorable shape, if you pick a shape that is actually sloped towards the top, that makes the release process a lot easier. If you make wooden molds, I have a couple of ultra modern planter videos that we have the wooden mold. The outside we can take off very easy. It's always with non-favorable shapes. It's always the inside that is the trouble to get it out. So when we get this planter out, there's a waiting period. What I mean by that is too many people, that this includes myself, are always wanting to get these planters out too quickly. So if you can wait long enough, let the concrete go through its 24 hours, 48 hours to get incredibly hard. So once you get the planter out, you have to do a visual inspection. Did it turn out nice? Is it full of air bubbles? Is there cracks? Did I damage the planter during the release process? Can I finish it? Can I repair it? Can I add a surface over top of it to hide what I've done wrong? All those questions happen once you get this planter in front of you. You get this chance to say, okay, you know what? I don't like the finish. It's too blotchy. The mix, the additives and the ingredients weren't mixed properly. So I've got all these weird lines in the planter that don't look good. So I can come back and paint it. I can add a finish over top of it. I can add like pre-made materials like stucco finishes over top of the planter to disguise what I've done wrong. So there's this whole process of getting from a liquid concrete to a beautiful planter that requires you to know all these steps. And don't be shy to experiment because you're not losing a lot. You're learning this process of getting to a beautiful planter by putting release agent on the plastic shell that you're using. You're using a mix that'll basically work in any situation. You're experimenting with additives. You're actually doing things that will make this mix stronger, will make it use less water with a water reducer. You're learning about finishes. You're learning that if I have a planter that I'm applying to the outside, I can throw stuff against the wet cement. There's all these techniques and tricks that you can watch in the videos that I've done, how to get a desired finish that you actually really like. If you want it to be mossy, if you want mold to grow on it, you're going to have to probably chase down a rougher surface. You're going to probably use a less strong mix so that the mold can get into the concrete. All these things will help you achieve an end result where you can control the outcome of your planter making process.